This video is brought to you by Connext. Connext is a cross-chain protocol that lets you build cross-chain applications and experiences in a secure way. Rob and I really enjoyed their tech because they don't add any new security assumptions on top of the connected chains, as they don't rely on an external validator set or an oracle. Security is definitely paramount in DeFi, so we're excited to work with Connext. Hope you enjoy this video.
Good morning, ETHCC. Is Andy from the Rollup with the first interview of the day with our good friend Jordi. We've watched Jordi go from Hermes and the early days to now switching to Polygon about a year and a half ago or so, and building out a really cool zk stack over there. And there's been tons of news from the Polygon side with this new POL proposal with the switch to zkEVM from POS chain, of course, the zkEVM, which we've been helping out quite a bit with Asif and Hamza, actually getting them teams over there trying to build new dApps. So we're going to try to touch on all those things and some of the cool, interesting concepts that you are working on. So good morning, Jordi. How are you?
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. So I guess which is the most exciting, or what is the most exciting aspect that you are currently pushing forward on?
Well, as you know, we launched the Polygon zkEVM last March. This was a really important milestone, not only for Polygon, but for the Ethereum space. This is the first step for scaling. And currently what we are doing is just improving the zkEVM and actually making the scale happen. I mean, we are just, this system is young systems. We are getting a lot of maturity. We are onboarding a lot of applications in the system. We are improving some of the pieces and getting ready for the explosion that will happen very soon.
Yeah, I remember the talk that you had. It was either last year in Paris. Was last year here, or was it at Denver, where you announced that zkEVM was live, or that it was going live?
Yeah, in the last year here in Paris, we announced that we just actually at that point zkEVM was, I would say, more or less on, at least all the pieces were there. Of course, from the pieces programmed to going mainstream, to going mainnet, it looks like half a year. It's a lot of auditings and a lot of just fine-tuning some of the pieces and getting them production ready. But yeah, this was last year, and I mean, it was a really important moment. We open source all the code at that time, and it was a very important moment because we explained it, what we were doing. Then we took that, we launched the testnet, we launched the mainnet, and now we are just getting this mainnet big, getting
it's growing. Yeah, it's growing quite significantly. And I remember that talk as being my entry point to like this idea of zk rollups being compatible with EVM chains, and I mean that idea has been grown upon now. And we're seeing it scale with Polygon zkEVM. I always remember you being very bullish on zk tech from some of the first conversations that we ever had. I'm curious with the current developments with Polygon, as well as outside of the broader Polygon sphere, kind of has your mental model towards how the Ethereum scaling vision with zk, has that evolved? Has it changed? And if not, then what is the model that you can kind of foresee for the way in which Ethereum will scale with zk tech, with rollups in general?
Well, I would say that there is there is some breakthroughs. I mean, remember the first Vitalik post talking about rollups and splitting, separating the concept of data availability and the concept of verification of the computation, and splitting that was really important for scaling in general. Then there was another blog post from Vitalik explaining a little bit the strategy of Ethereum and the fact that Ethereum 2.0 is will focus very much in the data availability, and then other teams in the community will build these rollups or these computation layer. So this I would say that this has changed very much, and it's very clear the strategy. The last week in Polygon, we announced Polygon 2.0. The Polygon 2.0 explains an architecture, how to bring this idea of scaling with multiple rollups. We like to call it like a constellation of rollups running together with the same shared liquidity, and being different rollups, but you can interact with each other. If you see this has a lot of similarities of the original idea of Ethereum, even just before the rollups. And remember the first conferences from Vitalik in 2015, 2016, talking about this intersharding communication, let's call it that time. So we are bringing, with this Polygon 2.0, we are making reality those talks. I mean, they kept to my mind, talks. And this gives, coming back a little bit to your question, is this we are start seeing how this blockchain space will look like in the coming years. We see this constellation of rollups, private and public chains connected all together and interacting with each other like a single chain. This is definitively possible to the zk technology. This is the core piece of the Polygon 2.0, creating this proof, or if you want, this single proof that will aggregate all the proof of all these chains and will act like a block. It's just transferring, just communicating and transferring information and value between the chains. And if you read the white paper we just published the last weeks, you will have there all the details and all the specifics. And this is very much the roadmap of Polygon, but it's also the roadmap for scaling Ethereum.
Yeah, it's so I have a bunch of really interesting points to bring to the table here. So first, I did a podcast with Brian from Layer Zero Labs. He's CEO founder. They built easily the biggest cross-chain messaging platform in all of DeFi. And he told me that by far, to the tune of like 80% of their volume is coming from roll-up to roll-up transfers. Just pure interoperability between Optimism, Arbitrum, zkSync, Optimism, zkEVM, et cetera, et cetera. So the pure desire and demand for that interoperability kind of cements the point of what you're saying, in that's the future. People don't want to transact, go back to layer one, to go back to a different layer two, to access a different set of applications. They want to have it be a seamless experience. Something that's kind of opened my mind is when you say shared liquidity. So we have, let's say, like these kind of layers are almost like to the n power. Like it can just go on infinitely in this constellation form that you described. But what's kind of intriguing me is, are you saying that there's possibilities in the future where I can have, let's just use rollups that we're currently familiar with. So I can have, let's say two optimistic rollups, Arbitrum and Optimism, or let's just call them Bob and Alice, where they are different rollup ecosystems, so different execution environments, but they utilize the same liquidity, the same shared liquidity on dApps, on DEXs, on money markets, or am I misunderstanding that kind of aspect?
Yeah, well, I see that is definitively possible in zk rollups. I don't see it possible in optimistic rollups. Just the fact optimistic rollups, they need for exiting a rollup, an optimistic rollup, you need to wait a week. And for composability, you cannot. If you live in one rollup and you want to go to another rollup, maybe to do an exchange or some DeFi operation and then come back, you cannot wait 2 weeks. You have to go back and the other back forth. So for me, optimistic rollups are out of the question. They could make sense if you are inside an optimistic, you believe in the optimistic, and you are, in your own bubble. But if you want to communicate, we need to go to zk technology, because zk is what gives you this immediate warranty that the transfer you transfer from one side to the other. And here, I don't have a crystal ball, and this is we are discovering, and we need to see.
But it's interesting. Yeah.
But but it looks like. I mean, I like this concept of constellations. I mean, and the constellation, but then in the constellation, maybe you can have like a set of rollups that they have this shared liquidity, so the composability between these rollups can go fast. But maybe there is another level, is like, for example, between two zk rollups, different. They can still use layer one to communicate. They may not go maybe as fast as rollups that are like connected with the same shared liquidity, but it's still possible. So maybe instead of taking 30 seconds, maybe take 1 hour. But that's fine for some of the applications and for these. And it's going to be different levels. And even between, we see that even between these same constellation can be rollups that they have some level of trust between each other, and they can even go faster, and they can interact much faster on each other. So here, there's a lot of possibilities. Here we are studying, we are analyzing, we are seeing how this would look like. But the idea is this. I mean, the idea is that all these rollups they can share a single proof, so they share a single zk. So all the security is based on a single prover, and that's why you have this shared trust, this shared security between the rollups. This is what allows you to do these fast transactions. And Polygon 2.0 is very much that. I mean, it's just this constellation, defining a constellation where they share the same proof, the same system, so they share the same security. The end is when you are joining two rollups somehow. At the end, the security is the worst one. So the security of the full system is the worst. So if you
the weakest link,
exactly. So that's but if you have a constellation of rollups that all share exactly the same prover, that means that all of them have exactly the same security. So you can guarantee standard.
Wow. Yeah, with that, there's the composability aspect, like you say, because of the lack of that 7-day withdrawal and the fraud proofs with optimistic. There's composability there where you can so quickly transfer funds from different rollups within this constellation, basically utilizing all the same liquidity, even if it's semi-fragmented amongst those rollups, but it's effectively like they're all the same one using the same kind of security model, the same prover, and therein you have the capability to have still very, very fast, cheap transactions, but those use cases and that liquidity, which, I mean, yeah, like you said, just isn't available in optimistic, and is also just light years ahead of layer ones and just kind of the slow, high gas cost transactions that we see now.
Yeah, these are the things. Of course, we are very early.
Yeah, very early. Like we just got zkEVM now. Like, can we get 500 million TVL first, please?
So but this is going really fast. I mean, the thing is that all these we will see in the coming months and years. But we will see the evolution of all these rollups and how they communicate with each other. And it's going to be interesting to see what will end up with at the end. But it's
like a puzzle, man.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
You're just putting the pieces together as best you can, and somebody else who's doing some cool R&D comes out with some other puzzle piece, and you're like, whoa, that sounds like a good piece to use in my puzzle, you know?
Yeah, but that's the cool thing of the new technologies. I mean, even the person that's creating this technology does not even know how this technology is going to be used. And this is part of the evolution of the story of the evolution. In this case, the evolution of the blockchains, and it's very exciting because this whole zk rollups opens a huge amount, a lot of possibilities, and yeah, I mean, we are starting seeing really interesting moves. That I read the other day that, for example, Zero was just thinking or just starting to be a layer 2 in Ethereum. And I mean, we're starting seeing, I think, interesting things that are happening in the community. Nosy is just announcing the payment system.
Yeah.
Using also zkEVM. I mean, it's a lot of interesting things that are happening, and It's nice moment to live at this point. The availability of this technology.
Yeah, I mean, once you have scale, the applications and the possibilities become much closer to infinite. And I mean, with each day and each month passing, the broader sphere is getting closer to those like infinite possibilities where it wasn't even imaginable to be able to do so on let's just call it like Bitcoin network or Dogecoin. Now we're looking at like zk rollups. We're looking at very high throughput L1s, modular stacks. Like the broader scale brings in those new innovations, and I think this is a good kind of point to wrap up with one last thing. I guess it's if you could go and build any sort of passion project or like fun CryptoKitties-esque or trading cards or gaming or what would you build as a passion project when you're not super busy pushing the boundaries of zk tech?
For me, there is one project. I hope that at some point we will build it, or I hope that at least somebody else will build it. But for me, it's liquid democracy. For me, this technology is one of the things that allows is liquid democracy. For me, what allows is changing the way that people organize themselves, having a world of communities, having a world where you are part of a community, you are not part of a system. So that means that you are active part of a community. You have the power of the community. You have responsibility to improve the community. And for this is for the communities to work, you need some sort of delegation, but at the same time, some sort of responsibility. And I would really love to see liquid democracy happening at human level on that. Until now, organizing liquid democracy community was hard, but this technology really allows to do this. And I would really love to see this project to happen. But this is a personal project, but yeah, that's one of the projects that I'm not building now. But it's an important project for me. There are many others, so just to make it wrong. Yeah, but there is a lot of interesting projects to do. But this one is one of the projects that I'm more excited in the long run.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, no, I think any applications with to just kind of wrap it up and close the loop, we've got the idea of crypto, and the ethos of Bitcoin has been libertarian. So you kind of bring some of that mentality to the table with making the state of governance more fair and more equally distributed amongst kind of society. And I think one thing that you may not kind of realize, but I understand it as an American, is last election we had all this crazy like, oh, Donald Trump and Biden and fake voting and all these things. And like, there's just a simple solution here. It's zk proofs, guys. Like, it's a very simple solution to all this kind of fraud. So
when I'm explaining crypto, I always put these two examples. One is the Donald Trump and this crisis, and Venezuela. I mean, different, but it's like, okay, at the end is trust is a central authority. I mean, do you trust? So at the end you have to trust somebody. I mean, you trust that Venezuela is a democracy, or they are fake elections. Do you trust that America is a democracy, or they are fake elections? There was half of the people in US and they were thinking on that. So this is a problem.
Huge problem.
It's a huge problem, because at the end you end up having to trust humans, and humans get corrupt. This technology allows you to avoid having these central authorities managed by humans, and you don't need them. I mean, you have technology that allows you not having to trust humans. And this is definitively one of the biggest values that this technology can add to humanity.
Yeah, and Rob would love to be here. He's very upset that he's not here now. He's back at home making sure that the business is pushing forward. But from a more optimistic and naive lens, also people just make mistakes. People just don't always do the right thing on purpose or an accident, and preventing against corruption as well as just human error. That's a win-win, especially with technology where it's automated and systemized. I mean, yeah. Thank you for coming on, Jordi. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's the third year in a row. I think I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to be here, you know.